In this video, we're going to cover how to use the domestic serging machine. Let's take a look at the basic functions of our serging machine and how it works. Beginning over here, we've got our power button on and off. We've got our foot pedal that goes underneath so that we can run the machine. And then we've got our threads in the back, held up by our thread tree, and our tension knobs. With the serging machine, our knobs are really important because they direct the thread. Here we have left needle, right needle, upper looper, lower looper. Up here, again, left needle, right needle, upper looper, lower looper. Each are color-coded. It's important to see where the color coding leads you because this allows you to thread the machine or troubleshoot issues. So, again, on top where the thread guide is, we have our left needle, right needle, upper looper, and lower looper. Let's take a look inside. This door is on a spring, so we'll push and lower. And inside, there is a full color diagram on threading the machine. We'll get back to the threading in a moment, but let's take a look at the other functions of the machine. Coming up here, we can see a couple of things. The needles, the presser foot, and the knives. The knives are really important because when the machine is open, you can see them both. This is the upper knife, and this doesn't move is the lower knife. It sits just below the presser foot. The upper knife moves while the machine is working and cuts the thread and the fabric against the lower knife. So it's very important that we never move our fingers to the point where it could touch the presser foot because we are way too close to our fingers getting close to the knife. So again, we never really want our fingers to pass the needle plate, the metal part of the machine. After this point, the fabric is on its own. We guide it up to this point and then let it run through the machine as it's intended. Let's take a look at changing the needles. So we have our two needles up here. We're going to cut the threads first so that they're free of thread. And then we're going to move the needles to their highest position using the hand wheel. Now we've got two screws labeled L and R for left and right just above. We do not want to unscrew these screws all the way. We just want to loosen them enough so that the needles can come out. So we're going to put a little pressure against those needles to keep them in place and one at a time gently unscrew to the left and use our tweezers to grab that little guy. Perfect. And same with the right. Unscrew just enough to loosen the needle, but don't take that screw out. Leave that in place or it will get lost. Perfect. Now, these needles can break or become dull for lots of different types of reasons. We want to discard them. If we're taking them out of the machine, they are garbage. So let's get rid of those needles and replace them with our new needles. The needles we use for our serger are 130 by 705H in size 75. Size 75 is standard. If we have heavier fabric, we might go up. And the BP for ballpoint is because we are often sewing stretch materials on our serger. These are the same machine needles that we use on any domestic machine. Let's pull them out and take a look. So we have a flat back and a rounded front. The flat back is going to go back against the machine as we insert. So let's take our tweezers and gently insert, guide with our finger here and feel around until it slides up in perfect. And then we're just going to retighten that screw again, just to the right until it is nice and secure, not too tight. And now we'll insert the new right needle. All right, there. Now we've got the right needle in. We're going to push that all the way up and tighten that screw to the right as well. Good. Now, You can just barely see that the right needle sits lower than the left needle at the point. That is correct. The left needle does come a tiny bit higher than the right needle. So now we've got our new needles in, and we are ready to thread the machine. The way that we like to thread the machines in the shop here is fast and easy. If you need to thread from scratch, just reference the color-coded diagram in the machine or in the manual. But this is the quick way to thread. We'll begin up at the spools. We're going to clip the threads directly above the spool, but still hanging from the thread tree. Pull the old cones off and put the new cones on. Then we're going to do a simple knot and knot off each of the threads to the new thread. It's important that this knot is small. So we're going to take each thread end and just make a very simple knot. This knot needs to be able to slide through the machine. That's why it needs to be small, but secure. So make sure that we pull it tight. There we go. We're going to thread off each one. All right, and that's the last one. Each of our new threads is knotted off to our old threads that are still in the machine. Now we're going to pull the threads through individually. First, make sure that the presser foot is up. The lever is on the back of the machine. Then we're going to turn each of our dials to 0 tension. We don't want anything fighting us as we pull these threads through. Also, it's very important because it can damage the machine if we leave any tension on. So presser foot up, knobs at 0. We're going to pull the needles through first. Make sure that the threads are not going through the eye of the needle. They're just hooked around the last step in the threading process. Then we are just going to gently pull. Beautiful. Then we'll trim off where the new thread starts. Now for the loopers. Again, we're going to gently pull both of them together. And if you feel any fight, separate the threads and pull them one at a time to see which one is fighting you. Our upper thread seems to be going fine. Good. Now let's pull on our lower looper. Perfect. All right. Beautiful. Now all of our new threads have gotten through the machine successfully, and they're all still threaded correctly. All we have to do now is thread our needles and chain all of the threads off together. I like to leave this door open while I'm threading the needles so that I can get my tweezers in behind to help me get the thread through the eye. So we're going to take the right thread through the right needle. Perfect. And we're going to pull that thread straight out the back with the loopers, going under the presser foot. Let's get this left thread out of the way. Now we have 3 threads out the back and all of them under the presser foot. Finally, the left needle. Left thread, left needle, and left thread is in. Okay, we have all of our threads together and coming out of the back of the machine. So now we are ready to put our tension back on. We are going to lower the presser foot and turn each of our dials up to 4. Between 3 and 4 is the standard tension. We're going to match all 4 dials. Now we are ready to test it. So let's go ahead and step on the pedal while we hold on to the tails out the back of the machine. There we go. Beautiful. Now we have chained off. We want to leave this chain. That's gonna be perfect sitting right out the back. Now the machine is ready to be used on fabric. Let's get sewing.